Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. So I gotta say, I was getting a lot of flack yesterday for being insensitive to the death of the Queen. And I gotta say, guys, I did not mean to disrespect anybody. And I was not slandering anybody. I was just bringing up some observations about the Queen's death, the royal family, and I think the more important takeaway to that is the influence the royal family has. So, the Queen is a representative of the royal family, and so I guess some people were thinking that I was taking it out on her. So no means for disrespect. I understand she was somebody's mother, grandmother, may she rest in peace. But it's the power the royal family has and their connections to global elites. Now, I don't want to keep dwelling on this, but I did see this, guys, from Ant1, just going back to yesterday's video. Just thought I'd check this book after the sad events of today, which was more updates on the death of Queen Elizabeth II, and look at page 98, published originally in 2006. And so this creeped me out. It says, this quatrain will come as no surprise to the British people, and it has wide implications. The first is that Queen Elizabeth II will die circa 2022. At the age of around 96, 5 years short of her mother's term of life, Prince Charles will be crowned in her stead and become king of the islands. The implication here is that he is no longer king of other regions in the world over which his mother reigned, so Canada, Australia, New Zealand, etc., which will have in the interim become republics. Now, is this a prediction? Ant1 here said that this was published originally in 2006. Well, look at what the book is titled. Okay, I mean, this could be doctored, right? The Complete Prophecies for the Future by Mario Redding. And so I just thought I would take this first sentence and just look it up in Google. Look it up myself to see if it is true or not. This quatrain, let's do it together, okay? This quatrain will come as no surprise. What does it say here? To the British people. To the British people. And what do we have here, guys? This version was obviously published a little later in 2015. The Complete Prophecies of the Future. And if I click on this link here, boom, there you have it. This quatrain will come as no surprise to the British people, and it will have wide implications. The preamble is that Queen Elizabeth II will die circa 2022. So, may she rest in peace. But let's not forget how influential the royal family is. If you guys didn't catch the video I did yesterday on the Queen and some other interesting little tidbits, if you like this one, you probably would like the video I did yesterday. I'll link it up here in the top right-hand corner. This tweeted out by somebody who created a Klaus Schwab at Klaus for PM Twitter account. I'm so excited to build back better with you, Charles. See you soon.
We have no alternative, because otherwise, unless we take the action necessary and we build again in a greener and more sustainable and more inclusive way, then we will end up having more and more pandemics and more disasters from ever accelerating global warming and climate change. So this is the one moment, as you've all been saying, when we have to make as much progress as we can.
And I'm going to end that clip there. That is a video directly from the World Economic Forum promoting their Great Reset agenda. And you heard it here. Charles and the royal family have been part of this since the beginning. So the Green Climate Agenda, this is part of this. Michael Branch also bringing this up, coming from the White House. They're looking to make crypto greener and more climate friendly. So along those same lines here, recently the White House released a report that details how crypto mining and other technologies contribute directly to pollution, greenhouse gases, noise, and other hazardous environmental effects that get in the way of federal agencies' initiatives to attain a net zero carbon emission that is in adherence to U.S. climate goals. Last month, electricity usage has been, did quadruple, amounting to 180 kilowatts per hour to 240 kilowatts per hour annually. Meanwhile, Bitcoin mining in the United States has also climbed from 3.5% in 2020 to a whopping 38% today. So, if the White House wants to kind of stay on track with keeping these cryptocurrency firms honest, keeping them green, on the one hand, they've got their work cut out for them, but the silver lining is there are already cryptocurrency projects, namely the XRPL, the Algorand blockchain as well as another one, that can help this initiative push forward. And I think they already know that. And so this is just kind of laying the groundwork, right? They're stating all this stuff to, telegraph, to project on the people where this is going to go next. I think they already know where this is going to go next. Certainly Prince Charles, now King Charles, knows where this is going to go next. And I mean, they have known this for a while now. Let's keep moving, guys. The Bitcoin price at 21,100 as I'm speaking right now. If I put it on the hourly, you guys can see we did see a high of Bitcoin late last night at about 21,600. We are retracing a little bit, so we did see that pump of activity. You can see, though, volume is going down slightly. So I guess we got to see what's going to happen next, if the momentum is going to continue or not. XRP price right now up to 35 cents, 35 and a half cents roughly. And so, it's just been following in this nice ladder step pattern where the Bitcoin trend is going. So retracing a little bit, making a new high. Again, this is on the hourly. Throwing this on the daily, we can see XRP price also perform quite well over the last, not just the last day, but even over the last few days. Coming out of this rut here at around 31, 32 cents, up a bit, so that's looking positive. We've also got the Wrath of Kahneman here, bringing us this article. It looks like a discussion, a research paper from U of Newcastle in Australia. They're approaching blockchain, the use for remittances, noting Ripple in several places, and its use in Japan specifically. It maps a rough path to developing a Ripple testbed, along with Ethereum and various other benefits that are possible here. So they are just mentioning Ripple and Ethereum as possible testbeds. And I do have the paper up here if you guys want to read it. It is relatively new, from August 29th, 2022. That was the posted date. And I will link this in the description if you guys are interested. So just down here, even though the research community and the industry are attempting to model cross-border remittance platforms in many different technologies, every platform are still in their infant stages. Cross-border payment systems are still emerging. Ripple has provided a platform for currency exchange and remittance that banks can gain the benefit. The systematic solution that we propose to develop has been targeted on three main areas of the remittance management. And so they go into those three areas after that. Again, I will link this in the description of the video if you guys are interested. Also notice too that they mention Ripple as providing a platform for a currency. They're actually using Ripple as that example, after they said that many of these platforms are still in their infancy. So that to me says Ripple is kind of the furthest ahead out of all these other types of platforms that could be used for these types of purposes. We know Ripple has already done a lot of their pilot testing over the last few years. We already know that they've proven that ODL works. And they've been using it in smaller institutions for cross-border payments, those smaller companies, the Mercury FXs, the Flutterwaves, the D-Locals, all those types of smaller companies. And so, once they were able to prove that cross-border payments would be successful at that smaller scale, that's, I think, when they finally realized that they were going to get the go-ahead to really kind of move in a broader way. Of course, there was always the partnerships with the big central banks. So that was probably brewing. They already kind of had it in the bag, but they needed to prove it on a real world scale. So here we are, Australia now reporting this, and Ripple's use case in Japan specifically. Wanted to thank the Wrath of Kahneman for pointing that out. Another one, guys, from the Wrath of Kahneman with regards to Ripple partner Terrapay. Now, we talked about Terrapay the other day. They've also now partnered with FDH Financial Holdings to power real-time cross-border money transfers to Malawi from key global markets. So Terrapay, again, a Ripple partner and a leading global payment infrastructure company, today announced their partnership with one of the biggest and most innovative financial institutions in Malawi, FDH Financial Holdings. This strategic collaboration will enable secure and low-cost P2P and B2B transactions from the United Kingdom, United States, Europe, United Arab Emirates, and Southern Africa into Malawi. So I missed this one. This was from a couple of weeks ago now, but just another Ripple partnership. Speaking on the partnership, the director of Terrapay said, "We are thrilled to onboard FDH as a trusted partner in Malawi. Our association with FDH will allow us to serve the Malawians with superlative technical solutions, cultivate affinity by empowering them with fast and affordable borderless payment options, and access to Terrapay's widespread partner network of 4.5 billion bank accounts and 1.5 billion, that's billion with a B, mobile wallets." So this is huge because not only is it retail P2P, which is peer-to-peer service, it's also B2B service. So business-to-business services, leveraging Terrapay, which is Ripple-enabled, in order to perform these types of transactions. So now they have that enabled to these specific regions of the world. Where was it again? UK, US, Europe, the UAE, and Southern Africa, now going into Malawi, guys, all with the help of Ripple-enabled Terrapay. So wanted to thank the Wrath of Kahneman just for bringing that up. And Jeremy Hogan here, commenting on the latest update from the SEC. So the SEC apparently has now made a differentiation, and I'm going to explain this to you. It's a good first step, says Jeremy Hogan, for the SEC, since the prior disclosure forms made no sense in the context of a crypto project. So good job, SEC, but Why don't you get all this stuff in place first and then start with the lawsuits? So here's what's happening. The SEC, they've just established a new office for crypto filings. Specifically, the office will be within the Division of Corporate Finance, which handles disclosures for publicly traded firms. This coming from Cicely Lamoth. Lamoth told the audience at a legal conference in Washington on Thursday that the SEC saw the new office as necessary to address unique and evolving filings around crypto assets, with the vast majority of which the SEC views as securities. Well, we know that they view them as securities. That's not saying that they actually are securities. Nevertheless, much of the crypto industry has pushed back against the definition or otherwise avoided registering new coins as securities, often resulting in enforcement actions or ongoing litigation. So according to Lamoth, the SEC still needs someone to run the office, which is expected to have legal and accounting branches for crypto firms to consult with and file with. So is it a good first step? I mean, I guess so. Jeremy Hogan, again, mentioning that it is a good first step. But yeah, like, get your ducks in a row before you start suing, every cryptocurrency company under the sun, or at least I feel like that's their wet dream. They really want to sue everybody, get all that money in the SEC coffers, baby, and, go from there. They really want to tamp down the crypto industry, but the crypto industry is fighting back. But this news, not so positive, I gotta say. Bill at Belisarius 2020, with regards to the SEC, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but there seems to be entrenched opposite camps in the SEC. As we know, Hester Peirce has been, more favorable to positive, innovative, we'll say, crypto laws that would surround cryptocurrency regulation in the U.S. But Commissioner, and we were wondering about Commissioner Mark Ueda. We didn't really know kind of where he stood, but apparently Commissioner Mark Ueda is on the side that uses the term enforcement by regulation. Or no, sorry, rather, I'm getting this wrong here. If I look at this article here, he says regulation by enforcement won't actually work for crypto. So that's positive news. Let me continue here with Bill's assessment. And consider this will not work for crypto and drive crypto innovators away from the USA. Okay, I guess I misread that at the beginning. He posts this, there's widespread concern that the lack of predictability with regard to our regulations may encourage crypto firms to relocate to other jurisdictions. So there's also that issue. There's always vested interest to keep the innovation in the United States. So why would these regulators want to push it away? Bill continues by saying the current dominant camp, including Gensler and the director of the SEC Division of Enforcement, Gurbir Grewal, just call it enforcement and intend to continue to enforce and not write specific crypto rules because they consider there is sufficient clarity. But now we're seeing commissioners come out and say, no, there isn't sufficient clarity. But just to Bill's point here, Gurbir Grewal, the director of the SEC's Division of Enforcement, made it clear that his staff will continue to pursue actions against crypto offerings using established securities laws. Bill goes on to say, an extreme example of the position supported by Gensler is that of ex-SEC official John Reed Stark, who in his recent presentation, Are Regulators and Regulations Fit to Meet the Crypto Challenge? At the Crypto Policy Symposium, he had some strong comments directed at CFTC Commissioner Pham and Hester Peirce for criticizing the SEC for regulation by enforcement, which he considers is misleading. So see the transcript below with regards to that. Of course, the reason it is not misleading to criticize the SEC for regulation by enforcement is because the SEC has refused to write crypto rules. Well, if you can't clearly get a rule across or clearly state what the rules are, you've kind of caught yourself in a win-win or a lose-lose, depending on how you look at it. And the application of the securities laws to crypto is uncertain. And because even if it is certain, it does not explain why the enforcement that does happen seems to target more legitimate and transparent projects like Ripple and Library and does not target many notorious scams. So that's a very, very good point here, as outlined by Bill at Belisarius 2020. Wanted to thank him for mentioning that and giving us a bit of an update on Commissioner Mark Ueda. This is all going to have wide-reaching implications for the crypto space, specifically in the United States. The Ripple SEC case is also going to be, like I've mentioned in the past, it's also going to be a landmark case. And guys, I also saw this from 24 Hours Crypto. So a very good observation here from him. If you guys aren't following him on Twitter, I suggest you do. He's also got a YouTube channel. I just wanted to mention this because this is actually pretty big, and I think it slipped through the cracks. We were focused on the bull run back in November of 2021. We were seeing all-time highs, and so maybe, just maybe this is why they thought it would be a good time to test this. Now, his thought is that this roadmap, to implement extreme liquidity through the XRPL, through RippleNet, this was an opportunity to test this, and he states this, right? in Q4 of 2021, this is when they were really going to explore liquidity for bridges. And so then he points to this point, Ripple Liquidity Hub for the enterprise. This data did come out back in November of 2021. So it's all kind of matching up here if we look at the roadmap. Q4 of 2021, of course, in November of 2021, that would be considered Q4. And then take a look at this. Boom. In November 2021, we did see this spike in transactional count. Now, when we keep looking at XRPL metrics, so just backing up a little bit here, transaction count up to 5 million transactions at that specific time, whereas, a lot of these other transactions were 1 million, under 1 million or so. And, he's saying, what he's suggesting here is this is correlating with payments. So, of course, this is payments on the XRP ledger, as per what had been discussed in the roadmap. Q4 of 2021, this is when liquidity bridge exploration was to begin. So I think by piecing all these pieces of the puzzle together, he is discovering that this definitely is the case. Wanted to thank 24 Hours Crypto, a great discovery here, friend. I just wanted to add to that too, because other things that make you go, Short the FOMO here also brought this up with regards to volume, okay? On the XRPL, nearly halfway through this month, okay? So this, fast forward to today, this is what we're seeing now today. And an ODL exchange is still above Binance in volumes in and volumes out. So take a look at this chart here, guys. You guys can see, and just for the sake of argument, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that FTX and Binance are two of the largest crypto exchanges on planet Earth. So these are the biggest crypto exchanges yet. We've got so much volume in and out on Bitstamp and Bitso as well. Two ODL, on-demand liquidity exchanges that have partnered with Ripple. And, their volumes are quite comparable to the two largest cryptocurrency exchanges on planet Earth. So what does that tell you guys? It's looking as though ODL volume is really ramping up through these exchanges. And this is just split amongst various different exchanges. They're only partnered with a handful of exchanges at the moment. And so that's not even all the ODL liquidity, but a very good observation here. Wanted to thank Short the FOMO here on Twitter. So the XRPL is going to be like a spider web as per Bull Diep. Think about the XRPL like a spider web. Each CBDC will be on a private ledger that is plugged into an anchor point of the web. XRPL will be the settlement platform for cross-CBDC transactions. So we're not even up and running yet, right? Think of how many CBDCs exist today. Virtually none. But think of how many CBDCs will likely exist in the next 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, a decade. We're just going to get more central bank digital currency implementation. And since they're going to be transferred on the XRP ledger, we're making an assumption here, but considering Ripple is partnered with all these central banks around the world, it would seem to reason that this should be the case. So the XRP that you hold will be valuable once we see this pick up and go. So, it's going to blow this kind of volume out of the water, even though we are seeing the testing and, back in November, we did see that spike. All this is small potatoes to what is coming down the pipe, guys. And just to reiterate that, economist Raoul also states his opinion on XRP vis-a-vis the real-world utility. Listen to this.
This one comes to us from Serkan Orbe, and the question is, what about XRP? Obviously, they're talking about Ripple. Any thoughts there, Raoul?
Yeah, so there's this weird narrative from the past about Ripple. The point being is, even if they have to settle a lawsuit and get a slap on the wrist, Ripple plays actually quite an important role. It's a money transmission network, and it does quite a good job of it. And it has deep connections with global governments around the world and has worked really hard on it. So there is a reason the chain is valued as highly as it is. And it's not from speculation, because actually, it got taken off a whole bunch of exchanges because of the lawsuit. It's actually because when I use my Netcast law model, the amount of value that gets transacted on the chain is very high. It's being used. So I think if you lift the legal issue, probability is that the value of the chain increases significantly. And as the world moves towards central bank digital currencies, I think the XRP network is going to be somewhere at the center of all of that. So yeah, I don't rule it out. I know it's not flavor of the day for a lot of people. I think it's a big player, it's a real player, and it has its niche.
The XRP token is a big play. It's a real play. It has its niche. Raoul also mentioning that, the SEC lawsuit is stifling the adoption of the XRPL. But once we see more value added, once we see central bank digital currencies running on the private ledger. Is this when we're going to see value increase? A 2-digit, 3-digit, maybe even 4-digit XRP? And that's the long term, guys. How high can XRP get in this next bull run? Tell me down in the comments what you guys think, and please subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.